How's it going, guys? My name is Kevin Reyes. Today I have a special guest joining us. He is one of my homies, one of my good friends. He's also an amazing filmmaker. The first half of this video, I'm going to sit down with him and talk to him just about his journey as a filmmaker, how he got to where he is today. And then the second half, we're actually going to shoot a scene. And we're going to sit down and talk about all of his decisions when it comes to lighting, composition, cameras, set design. We're going to get into all that stuff and more. Stay tuned and welcome to The Study of Light. Welcome to The Study of Light. Today with me I have, well, why don't you introduce yourself, tell them who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
My name is Tyler Edwards. I'm a filmmaker and freelance DP, and I'm originally from South Carolina, in Charleston, but I live in Denver, Colorado now, in a town called Louisville, it's right outside of Boulder. And I run a small production company and have a few clients on retainer and stuff, and I'm also a freelance DP, so I'll also do kind of my other stuff for other production companies or cam op. If it's a cool job, I don't really care what.
It's crazy because you're here in my neck of the woods because you had a shoot with Griffin Conway. Tell us what happened with that.
Yeah, so I flew out here. It was super last minute. He shot me a text and he's like, "Hey, dude, can you come out for a shoot?" So I get out here, and then I guess somebody got COVID or something. I can't remember what it was, but the shoot got canceled. So called you up, and I was like, "Dude, let's do something. Let's just hang."
Yeah. So you got here, and I thought, since you didn't have a day to shoot because it got canceled, I was like, why not bring you in as a guest for The Study of Light? Real quick for the viewers, give us how you first got into video.
I think for a lot of us, it was a hobby before it turned into a career. And that's what it was for me. I used to work in the corporate world. I sat behind a computer screen all day. Mm-hmm. I guess I do that a lot now, editing. But I wasn't looking at it. I wasn't looking at DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut or something. I was looking at Excel spreadsheets. I was in finance doing budgeting for a major aerospace manufacturing company, and it was just miserable. But I had this hobby, and I did one job, and I made money off it. And I was like, "Oh, you can make money. Yeah, that's awesome."
How'd you get that first job? What did that look like?
It was with my church.
Oh, okay. So you're going to your church, and they needed some video stuff.
They were like, "Hey, we want to we know you love doing video. We'd love to pay you to do a quick short little interview kind of thing." And I was like, "Yeah, cool.
That's awesome."
So did that, and then it it just felt fulfilling that I did something that I had my hands on, something that I did, but I also was able to get paid for it. And I was like, "Yeah, I think you can actually you can actually make money from this."
And how did you overcome the fact that you weren't in a hub, a big market? How did you kind of push through that? A lot of people get discouraged because they might be in a part of America or around the world that there is no video and they don't have access to a lot of the tools. It sounds like you did have some access, and obviously we have YouTube and social media and stuff, but how were you able to push through not being in an area that was pretty saturated with video stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing with Charleston is it is a destination location, so weddings were a big deal. So I did weddings starting out.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to say I don't do them anymore.
That's not to say if you do weddings, it's all good.
No, 100%. The people that do weddings, I have so much respect for.
Yeah.
So I did weddings and started YouTube, and YouTube kind of opened me up to that kind of opened the gate to the world, because I started connecting with so many people.
That's how we met.
Yeah. And even locally, there were a couple production companies locally that saw that I was posting on Instagram and YouTube and stuff. They're like, "Oh, hey, we could totally use you as a first AC."
Yeah, that's cool.
And so that's kind of how it started. I jumped
started trickling,
stuff like that, and then we made the move out to Colorado.
Right, that was a big move.
That was a huge move. Moved during the pandemic, just drove across the country.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember you moving to Colorado, and it was it's kind of, there's uncertainty there because you didn't necessarily have a network of people yet the way you kind of do now.
Yeah.
And you didn't know the hubs around there or the rental houses, and so you moved there, and then what was that transition like? And did it slow your video career down, your DP career down? What What did that look like for you?
It was a reboot.
Really?
It's kind of what I saw as like, some people even ask me like, how long you been doing this, and like, I honestly just say like, I've been doing it for 5 or 10, however long I've been doing it. But like it was a real reboot when I moved to Denver, and that's kind of where like my career really took off.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just like a mixture of all kinds of things. Right when we moved out, I had no clients, and there's no work, and nobody wanted to work, or nobody wanted to hire anybody, like all over the world because of the pandemic. And I like totally got that,
Yeah.
It was like, but it was kind of a networking thing. I met one person who talked to another person.
Yeah.
And then that's how I started getting
Was
clients.
it mostly through like social media stuff and like YouTube or?
Some of it social media, some of it word of mouth.
So yeah, you kind of like treat those little networking intros, even if it's like sliding in the DMs and saying, "Hey, I like your work," or whatever it is. Like those are things that I don't, probably for you too, but like I kind of cherish those as opportunities to network because you never know what those are going to turn into.
Totally, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're here. Let's jump into this scene.
Let's do it.
And we'll take a look at your lighting approach, your camera approach. Again, the parameters that we were working with was he didn't even know he was going to film this episode of The Story of Light. And he was in a rush. He was literally checking his watch, calling Griffin like every single 5 minutes.
What's up, Griff?
Yo, yo, yo.
Griffin, you're making a special appearance. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Make sure to subscribe to youtube.com/Griffin Conway. Shameless plug.
You ready to jump in and
Let's
show
do it.
what we did?
Let's go for it. Yeah, so I landed in the kitchen, and
of course you probably wanted to freeload some food off me.
Yeah,
huh?
I was like, "Where's the beer? Where's the tea? Give me some snacks. Like I'm hungry."
This is his fifth tea. He's literally freeloading off of me. No, I'm kidding.
No, so I went to the kitchen because I was like, "Oh, this is unique and challenging," but I think it's a scenario that we run into quite a bit where it's not ideal. We had a pretty blank wall behind us. There was a mirror and 2 floating shelves, but it was a neutral tone wall,
nothing special,
white or off-white or something.
I get it. No, I'm not taking offense that you're saying my house is very plain. I get it.
Well, no, as a living area is
honey,
beautiful.
you heard what he said, right? He's calling your interior decorating. He's calling you out.
I'm so not getting invited back. So I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to kind of lay it out. This dining room is pretty narrow room. This is a really good opportunity to say, how can we make something with no physical depth, and how do we make that interesting, and how do we add visual depth and interest, and really to make you pop off that background.
All right, so we are in our kitchen scene. Obviously established that there's not a ton of depth in there. It's not very interesting. Don't worry, I'm not offended. My wife might be. Okay, let's talk about your lighting approach.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your lighting setup. Which light did you start with first, and why did you set that up?
So I started off with the Aperture 600D. I actually wanted to set up the first light was the accent light there on the back wall because I wanted to get the angle of the shadows and the drama on the back, because that's like the main way to kind of get that background to pop from the talent. I put 3/4 CTO on it because the way the angle of the light was coming in, it wasn't coming in super down. It was kind of sweeping across that back wall. Usually when you see light coming in that dramatic of an angle so low, that's usually indicative of it being either sunrise or sunset. You don't want to have a really cool daylight balanced light coming in through. To me, it just doesn't translate really well. That looks artificial. But if you put a CTO or CTS or something in front of it and warm that light up quite a bit, then it starts to actually look like a sunset hitting the back wall.
I did notice you didn't use the Fresnel.
So I wanted to have as hard of a source as possible, because that one little chip on that little LED chip on the 600D, it creates really distinct shadows. That's why they give you that black, that negative reflector, to have as little reflections as possible, to cut that light as sharp as possible.
That makes total sense, and I would have used the Fresnel, not knowing that it was actually maybe minutely, but it was softening those shadows when I actually wanted definition in those shadows, especially when you have the light so close to what's interfering to create those shadows. I think, yeah, if we had all the space in the world to pull that light back,
Yeah.
then maybe a Fresnel would be fine to give you that output, because then the interference is closer to the shadow that it's creating,
Exactly.
like on the wall that it's creating. So that's super smart. Talk to me about the key light. What did you set up with that?
Key light, I just put Aperture 300D Mark II in the light dome, and I put a grid on it. I kept that grid on it so that the light would kind of focus more on you than it would on the back wall. If you didn't have the grid on it,
Yeah.
you can tell that like it almost washes it out completely. That accent was like kind of giving you a nice little scratch on your shoulder at times, and even sometimes on your face. And it was like given enough like exposure. I just wanted to like push that a little bit more with the key light, and that's kind of what key lights are. It's like kind of using motivation, right?
Totally. So we've got the 600D coming in from the outside as our natural sunlight pushing in. We've got our key light that kind of wraps it and motivated by that outside 600D. What else did we set up? Any other lights?
We actually just used some house lights, just ambient light inside. We use that for fill on the upstage side of your face. Yeah. And that's really all we did. It was just a lamp.
What made you do that? What made you feel okay and justified to keep those house lights on?
This isn't like a super deep or like intense reason. Honestly, it looks good. Like, it just looked fine.
I love that you're not afraid to break rules, because almost every video I see on cinematic lighting, when you get to a location, is you cut out all the house lights.
The frame looked good, and it looked better with it, then let's go with it. I mean...
I love that. If it looks good, it looks good. And if you like it, like, who cares what rule it breaks, or if you hear 1,000 different things, different opinions from other people that you look up to or whatnot. Like, I love that you weren't afraid to keep those house lights on. So we got our 2 aperture lights. We've got the house lights on. What else was there for lighting?
That was pretty much it for lighting. The last thing that we did, we added a little bit of haze.
You nailed that haze, dude. You really nailed it. Talk to me real quick. Let's cover camera. I know you already mentioned it, but maybe give me your aspect ratio, like any settings with the camera, or stuff like that.
Yeah, so we went with the red Komodo on this one simply because like it was there. I actually went and grabbed the Pocket 6K first, and then you ran over there. That's the BTS camera. So I was like, okay, cool, we'll use the Komodo. So yeah, went with the red Komodo, landed on that, went with the 24mm, that's the wide, and then we just went to the widescreen aspect ratio.
If you want it cinematic, just put the widescreen ratio on.
Exactly. And honestly, it helped because there was a chandelier that was right over the table that just completely cut out.
You hated my chandelier.
I love it, just not in the shot.
I could tell how badly you wanted to get that thing the hell out of there. You were like, yeah. The last thing I wanted to cover was you did something that a lot of DPs and videographers overlook, sometimes because it's not their job, but other times because they don't think about it. But I noticed you moving and doing a lot of set design. Talk to me and walk me through some of those decisions.
Yeah, so the first thing I did was I removed, there was a mirror that was kind of between the floating shelves, kind of right behind you, and it's doing way more harm than good. On the camera, all it did was show what was on the other side of the mirror, on the other side of the room, and it just didn't help. And it also showed the reflection of that chandelier, and I was like, let's get that, it's too busy. Mm-hmm. And I guess my style is like I try to have simplicity as much as I can. So I took that out, and then it was really, really clean, but it was almost too empty because you were kind of sitting off to the side of the frame, and it kind of just left this like big empty void. So what I did is you had a plant like in the living room, so I just like brought that plant over. It filled out that space, and it also just helped kind of create more of those dramatic shadows, and the light kind of hit the leaves a little bit, so it just looked really pretty. And then on the right side of the frame, that wall was pretty empty. But what I did is I pulled a coat rack in and had that green jacket on there, and kind of pulled it forward a little bit to have that light hit that jacket. Yeah. So it kind of gave you the illusion that light was coming all the way across from right side of the frame all the way to the left.
What it also did was it pulled me as a subject out of the background.
Yeah.
Because it was light to dark, and then I was there in the dark, lit up by the key light and the edge, and then back to dark again, and then the highlights on the coat rack.
Yeah.
So it almost gave this little section of darkness where you can pop a subject in there and put a highlight on there, and they can kind of pop out more, which kind of added to the depth.
The last thing was color palette. Like if you look, like it looks like your house is like got this kind of like a mid-century modern 80s kind of feel, and like I really wanted to play off that. And so
nice.
Like all the earth tones, like there's a lot of greens and browns and tans and all that, and so I just really wanted to play off that. And so I got you to like put a blue shirt on, which is like really the only like color pop. Otherwise everything else is kind of green and tan and brown and everything, but I wanted that blue shirt. I just felt like blue like popped in like a really cool and unique way. Like color palette is a huge thing. Like
color palette is so overlooked. Even I overlook that. I get so in my own lane, and I'm like, that's someone else. I even get to the point where I'm like, I'll let the client deal with that and learn later. But color palette can really make or break. Set design, wardrobe, like that. All those positions are so underrated.
Yeah.
But make the image. It takes the whole village, right? It takes the whole village to make a beautiful image.
100%.
I thought that looked great after you tore my entire house apart and left and didn't even clean it up.
Okay, hold on.
You kind of
don't even.
You what?
I put it back.
You put two things back.
I did do it. I put your table back.
What is one piece of advice you would give to an up-and-coming filmmaker or your younger self before, breaking through some of those barriers in film?
Get on set however you can.
Get on set however you can.
Yeah. Even if it's someone filming an interview, whatever, just ask like a production company or DP or director to make sure they have the appropriate approvals and all that kind of stuff that you can get on set. But try to get on set however you can. And if you don't have any experience, like ask a DP or whoever, like, hey, can I just do BTS photos and video of you, and I'll just be in the corner, a fly on the wall. And you'll start seeing, you'll learn so many things, because you'll see how a DP interacts with the gaffer and interacts with the director, and how the director kind of brings the vision to life, and how the director and the DP work together, and like how the DP and the AC work together, like all the different pieces of the puzzle, and that the village you were just talking about, like how that village really makes the product.
I love that.
So that would be my advice. Like, find a way to get on set.
Tyler, tell the good people where they could find you. What's your handles? Where can they find you if they want to look you up?
I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/Tyler F. Edwards, and Instagram @Tyler F. Edwards. It's all right there.
That's exactly where I'm going to put it, right here.
That's where you find me, right here.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much again for being a part of this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from this talented DP and one of my best friends in the game. This has been The Study of Light. We'll see you next time. Let's go clean my house.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
And cut.